Hi, I'm Dave Annell. Welcome to episode 27 of Setting the Record Straight. Family history, or genealogy, whatever we want to call it, has come a long way in the 50 years or so since I first started to take an interest in the subject. It used to be all about drawing up family trees, about assembling lists of names and dates. Worst of all were the pedigrees that showed your direct ancestors and little else. There was hardly any interest in the family part of family history. I'm delighted to say that we've moved on from that. Nowadays, it's much more about people, about families, about stories. And one area in which things have definitely taken a turn for the better is in the interest that family historians now show in other areas of historical research. Social history, political history, and most of all, local history. The role that place plays in our research is a crucial one. We can't really hope to understand our ancestors without getting to know the places, the communities in which they lived and worked. In the past, when we drew up our family trees, along with the names and dates, we might include the names of the places in which they were born, married, and died. But in an era in which our access to key sources was frequently limited by distance, we were more often than not reliant on indexes, which themselves provided us with limited information. So the places that we recorded for our ancestors were often no more precise than the name of the registration district in which their birth, marriage, or death was registered, or the name of the parish in which they were baptised, married, or buried. There's a danger then that we start to think of our ancestors as coming from those places without making the effort to dig deeper to find out where they really lived. In this episode of Setting the Record Straight, I want to look at this issue, particularly as it relates to the English parish. The parish is one of our most basic administrative units, and it's one that governed many aspects of our ancestors' lives. Most English parishes share their name with the village or town on which the parish is centred, usually, but not always, the largest settlement in that parish. Earlier this year, my wife and I stopped off in the Lake District on our way up to Edinburgh. One of my wife's four English great-grandparents, Maggie Graveson, was born in Bowness on Windermere, and all of Maggie's ancestors seem to have come from the surrounding area. Maggie's paternal grandfather, Richard Graveson, was baptised in 1790 at the Priory Church of St Mary and St Michael, Cartmel, then part of Lancashire. So we naturally wanted to visit the church and see Cartmel itself. Those of you who are familiar with this part of the world will know that Cartmel is one of England's most beautiful villages, famous for its sticky toffee pudding. As picture book villages go, you really couldn't want your ancestors to come from anywhere more stunningly picturesque. The problem is, my wife's ancestors, the Graveson family, didn't actually come from Cartmel. At least, they didn't come from the village of Cartmel. Yes, they lived in the ancient parish of Cartmel, but they actually lived some 8 miles to the north of the village, up in the fells above Windermere, in an area known as Cartmel Fell. Here's the record of Richard's baptism at Cartmel on 12th of January 1790, showing that he'd been born a few weeks earlier on Christmas Day. The clerk has very helpfully added the words Oaks, Sea, Fell, a reference to a farm called the Oaks in Cartmel Fell. So if we picture this as the place where the Graveson family came from, we would be wrong. This is where they really came from. This is their country. This is the Oaks. It's only by looking in detail at the records themselves to hopefully get that vital detail about where the family actually lived that we can avoid falling into the trap of a phenomenon that I'm calling Enparishification. It's the tendency that we have to conflate the parish with the village of the same name, and we need to guard against it. I'm planning to return to this issue in the next episode of Setting the Record Straight, when I'll take a closer look at how we can use this process of digging deeper into the records to suggest solutions to some of our research problems. Thanks for listening.